there was indeed a very high civilization here on Earth and elsewhere in our solar system. In other words, I think that we have been operating with an unexamined assumption, in the sense that we have, insofar as we've entertained that idea, we've limited it to planet Earth. I think it very possible that that civilization was interplanetary. And my model has been that it blew itself up, quite literally, in a war. This is the part of the story that frustrates me, because the alternative research community doesn't want to go there. It does not want to view these wars as actual wars, but metaphors for catastrophes and so on and so forth, which I think mutilates the text too much. So my model has always been, it blew itself apart in a war, and the war was fought with horrendously sophisticated weapons of mass destruction. In my model, those weapons were used to blow up a planet in the solar system, which is now the asteroid belt. But part of that model has been that, let's say right now, the insane neocons running this country and many others that have nuclear weapons, France, Great Britain, go down the list, we get into a nuclear war and we blow ourselves up. Well, I'm not one of those that believes that this would be the end of humanity, but it would certainly be the end of civilization. Einstein's quote, if there's a World War IV, then it's just bouncing the rubble, so it'll be fought with sticks and clubs. But anyway, my assumption has always been that this civilization would have had continuity of government operations. It would have had surviving elites. And those elites, in the aftermath of such a war, are confronted with a problem. The problem is not just how to survive, but how to jumpstart civilization again. And this is where it gets very interesting. If you're going to jumpstart civilization, if you're going to have civilization, what do you have to have? You have to have commerce. And in order to have commerce, what do you have to have? You have to have a uniform system of weights and measures. So what do you see during the megalithic period all over the world? You have these structures being built that, if you examine them, they appear to embody geodetic and astronomical units of measure. Now, why is that crucially important to this model? It's crucially important because, forget the old academic saw that you learned in high school and college, that they were basing units of measure on body parts. If that's the case, there's no standard of measure. It's going to be different from place to place. So an astronomical and geodetically based system of measure is going to be the same for everybody, because you're basing it on more or less universally known phenomena. So I think the megalithic period, when you see structures like Stonehenge, Aylesbury, some of the henges in France, and so on and so forth, I think this is an indicator that you have an elite at work all over the world building these structures to enshrine units of measure. And the other thing that they're going to do is they're going to attempt to pass down their scientific knowledge in such a fashion that that knowledge is not going to be lost in the transmission. And secondly, that it's going to become apparent when humanity achieves a certain pitch of development scientifically to decipher those myths and understand that they encode scientific information, that this is what you're going to do. You're going to create myths that embody a scientific concept or concepts that you can easily hand down and that are going to be transmittable. Again, my model is, there's a breakaway civilization, but the civilization broke away because it had to. It was a surviving elite, or elites, from that war.
The rich get the ticket.
The rich get the ticket, and they have to jumpstart things, and jumpstart things in a hurry. And this is what I think has happened. So in other words, my model is almost completely different than the standard academic model. In other words, I'm not assuming we're hunting and gathering for hundreds of thousands of years and all of a sudden we decide to invent Sumer for no good reason. their own textual statements, Sumer, Egypt in particular. Egypt, the very earliest texts in Egypt indicate that they themselves think of themselves not as a peak of civilization, but as a declined legacy of something that preceded it. So again, we're not listening to what they themselves are really telling us. And the story they're telling us is something very different. Yeah, there's these breakaway civilizations, but they broke away because of a catastrophe. And if you put the war into it, well, the war created the necessity to do this. So my model is a bit different. Where the Mars flood part fits in is if you look at the work of Dr. Tom Van Flandern, the old Naval Observatory astronomer. He published a book, Dark Matter, Missing Planets and New Comets, in which he outlined his revision or revival of the old 19th century exploded planet hypothesis. And that basically was a bunch of astronomers in the 19th century using a harmonic law that they had figured out to predict the orbits of the planets. Well, that law predicted there should be a planet in the asteroid belt that wasn't there. So they went looking for it, and that's when they started to discover the asteroids, and then they realized, well, these aren't planets, these are just small chunks of rock. So they came up with the idea, well, there was a planet there and it exploded. Well, Van Flandern revived that hypothesis in the last century, in the 20th century. And his argument is to me, is priceless, because he's trying to figure out, well, why would a planet explode? It doesn't happen that often. And he comes up with a bunch of models, and this is what really got me on the cosmic war idea. The first model he proposed was that there was a nuclear reactor in the core of the planet that exploded. It went critical and kaboom.
They made movies.
And they made movies, yeah. And they made movies about
similar, yes.
Star Wars, and a galaxy far, far away. And like I put it in my second book, in this crazy series I've been writing, it's not far away in space, it's far away in time. It's right here, but long ago, Yeah. And Lucas is giving us all of these hints and clues. And let's remember, George Lucas is being advised by who? He's being advised by Joseph Campbell, who is, the world famous multicultural mythologist who, is aware of these exploding planet myths from various human mythologies. So Van Flandern moves along to his second hypothesis. Well, maybe he knows that a fission reaction is probably not going to be sufficient to blow up a planet. So his next idea is, well, maybe there was a bunch of antimatter in the core of that planet that was somehow contained, and then the containment broke down and kablooey. And again, you can tell he's not happy with that one. He's grasping for explanations.
Maybe they had their own CERN project.
Well, hang on. And then he finally comes, and I even quote this in the Cosmic War, because you can tell that he doesn't want to go there, but he knows this is really the only explanation for it. He says, well, it may have been some sort of advanced technology that just went wrong. Or maybe it was the result, he says, of deliberate action, and those were his words. In other words, a war. And I'll press a button, blow up the planet.
What's up, guys? Michael James with Beyond the Forbidden. If you want to receive extra content that's not viewed anywhere else, support Beyond the Forbidden on Patreon to receive plus content that is only exclusive to members of Beyond the Forbidden. Content like the full 2-hour podcast, bonus shows, full-length video interviews, behind-the-scenes footage with guests, and much more. So what do you have to lose? Go to patreon.com/Beyond the Forbidden. That's patreon.com/Beyond the Forbidden, and become a member of Beyond the Forbidden for just $5 a month. And also check the description for the links.